Thanks, everybody, for joining. Hi, and welcome. Welcome to the webinar, Hidden Trends in Your Product Feedback. So glad you can join us today. My name is Dan Cropsey. I'll be your host. So before we dive in, just a few quick housekeeping notes. This session will run for about 35 minutes, followed by a Q&A. So go ahead and feel free to drop your questions in the chat at any time. We will be sharing a recording after the session, so no need to worry if you miss anything. And then finally, be sure to stay on until the end because we have some really great insights that you won't want to miss. So let's get started. I'm going to introduce our speakers. Today we have Dan Cropsey and Omer Kehat joining us. Dan is currently the president of Harmony Marketing Technologies Advisor. And he has 30 plus years of global product strategy, development, and management experience with industry-leading marketing analytics firms who serve thousands of brands, retailers, agencies, and media companies. So welcome, Dan. And then we have Omer, who is the VP product at Revuze. Omer brings over a decade of experience in the online shopping industry with a background in analytics, natural language processing, machine learning, and transforming in unstructured to structured data. So welcome, Omer, as well. Let's take a quick look now at the agenda. You can go to the agenda screen. Next slide, sorry. So we'll start by discussing some of the key challenges the product teams face and the common pain points they encounter. Then we're going to explore why diverse data sources combined with AI-driven insights are essential for making informed decisions. Next, we'll dive into the power of the voice of the customer, how real consumer feedback can guide product strategy and innovation. From there, we're going to walk through how this transformation is happening in real time, and we'll give you an exclusive sneak peek at what's next. Finally, we'll wrap up with a Q&A session. So be sure to jot down some of your questions that you have along the way, and then we'll be sure to answer them at the end of the segment. Over to you, Dan.
Well, thanks for the very kind introduction. I love what I do. Like kind of mentioned, I've been proud to have built solutions used by thousands of consumer brands and their leaders. I think that the job of the product manager is super hard, and it's getting even harder. Consumer preferences are changing faster than ever, and that means that competitive landscape is also changing incredibly fast. The product life cycles are way shorter. Product innovation demands are much more intense. And while all that's going on, the data they rely upon to save the day is exploding. Yet that data is still very fragmented and siloed. Thankfully, though, AI is also exploding. That comes with some pretty high expectations, unfortunately. And God forbid in today's day and age that you make a mistake as a product leader because, negative product reviews are plastered right on your e-shelf, right next to the buy button. And that same negative feedback now is also broadcasted to anyone that requests it via search and Gen AI tools. So the industry stats are kind of echoing that. It's amazing to see that historically poor new product success rates are even getting worse, according to the Harvard Business Review, and that and Nielsen's showing that only 15% of new products actually see their second birthday. Now, something that's particularly troubling for me is that only 68% of CPGers or 68% of CPGers are actually struggling to get actual insights from their data. Next. So that job's tough, right? And it amazes me to see how diverse and how much is going on for the product leaders. And their job is just uber important. Their success metrics are literally the company's success metrics of sales and profitability. And the scope of what they do is incredible, from market awareness to portfolio planning and innovation to design, porting to manufacturing, distribution, and then supporting the pricing and advertising and promotion. It's just such a huge span. Thankfully though, the core of all that activity there is fundamentally grounded in understanding and meeting the needs of your end customer and your retailer sellers, because this role actually has two customers there. So and to get that right, to do that well in today's world, is you have to lean heavily into data and lean heavily into advanced analytics, AI, machine learning, and the like. Good news is that this function and this role is not shy in using data. I mean, they're every day looking at their sales data, the retail sales data, the segmented sales data, pricing, shipping, consumer reviews, social media, and so on. So they're used to using a lot of data. Next. Now, if I had to pick one type of data that is most underutilized today, I would say it's voice of customer. And by that, I mean, the feedback you get through product reviews, social media, and surveys. It's just under leveraged across the board. And historically, there's reasons why for that. I mean, that data has been incredibly sparse and biased. So only the biggest brands actually had enough data to do this properly. And it was hard to justify enterprise solution investments or best practice processes and standardized processes when you're only addressing a small subset of your product portfolio. That data was also incredibly slow. It was very manual historically. You had, the design and set up and flight surveys, analyze the results, determine keyword searches, and that unpredictable data. That was slow, and it significantly lagged other data sources that ended up kind of playing the role in many of the solutions today. And of course, this type of data is historically cumbersome. It's unstructured, complicated language interpretations, just really costly to summarize and inject and wire into all of your different solutions. So that's the past. Happy to say that relative to recently, really, is that's changed dramatically. The barriers of using this data are significantly down. There's really no excuses in my mind to inject this type of data across all of your product lifecycle decisions. So what changed? One, there's just way more data. I mean, society has opened the floodgates, and consumers are sharing everything about everything, including their thoughts about your brands and your products. And that coincided with e-com kicking in after the pandemic, essentially, bringing feedback in product review data to even the smallest brands. So there's no problem getting the data you need. It's also way easier to use that data, thank you to AI largely, but interpreting that data, dealing with issues and fraud and all that kind of stuff, and then attributing it and summarizing it in such a way that it can be injected into processes more confidently is way, way, way easier. And then lastly, there's more motivation. This data is more vital than ever before. Of course, the consumer product managers need to be using voice of customer in their decision making, but that same data now is being used by your end customers. So future customers are actually reading and using and listening to that same feedback from other customers. So you now have a bit of a race now, right? Consumer product managers have to be faster than their consumers. They have to be faster than their competitors, and they have to be faster than Gen AI to stay ahead of the feedback you're getting. Next.
Dan, I just want to add that all of these are excellent observations, and I really want to double down on what you said about no excuses. I mean, the fact that brands have so much headwind today with competition and multiple channels and even macroeconomic forces, there are just no excuses for product leaders not to use the voice of the customer data. And really, luckily, the age of AI made it so much more accessible, and we'll be talking about that later, how we make this data really actionable and recommendable from the voice of the customers.
Good points, Omar. Thank you. All right, next. All right, so as you can probably tell, I'm pretty bullish on using this data, and Others are too. I think we're starting to see that is the evolution of using this data is accelerating pretty greatly. And I really honestly believe that it won't be long before this type of data is injected into every major product decision and activity across the life cycle. I mean, we're seeing it already. The most savvy data brands are already bringing these types of insights into product innovation, into their market positioning today. Unfortunately, I think even with those successes, it's still very ad hoc and inspiring. Now, new tools like Revuze is making it a lot easier to inject these kind of underlying consumer motivations much closer to the action, right? In a relevant way for the activities happening, they're bringing those insights to bear, but whether that be in product assortment, in product design, in the product marketing, in the e-com product description processes, it's bringing it right there in a relevant way. That said, ultimately, I do think that to maximize the potential of this data and the speed at which it's coming is the industry will need to re-engineer how they do things and bring kind of what people do with what people say together in kind of one AI-based solution so they can kind of radically compress the insights to actions process. So now is the time to kind of break out of your departmental silos. So anyone listening here, you've got solutions that are in departmental silos. Now is the time to break out of it, and tools like Revuze can make that happen. So next. All right. So if you recall earlier, I kind of mentioned the stat that 68% of CPGers are not feeling they're getting the most out of their data and not finding actionable insights. So I think personally, a lot of it has to do with a lot of their siloed solutions today kind of stall out or stop at the what happened, right? And just leave the product managers and brand managers wondering why and what to do about it. So I imagine a kind of a world where those solutions they kind of use today actually anticipate what that logical next question is and proactively answer it in a way that can kind of continue forward and lead to ultimate action. So some examples. So, every product brand manager has a sales dashboard. They can, imagine going into there and seeing a couple of your key product sales are down. Wouldn't it be great if that solution immediately said, hey, what feature feedback are we getting in the market that correlates to those products and their features, and just proactively bring forth some ideas on maybe what's causing that. And if that feature, that product is missing that feature, is it missing the feature and need to deal with it, or is it just not being showcased well enough? So that kind of stuff could bring forth. And you got every company also has pricing systems, competitive in their own pricing, and it's saying, let's say, that there's price sensitivity increasing across the board. Obviously, the next question would be: is the value, the consumer's perception of the value being questioned, or is there a inflationary temporary situation going on that can be weathered? Then you get assortment tools. A lot of the assortment tools use and rely on shopper or panel data to understand switching and that kind of thing, and it's identified, let's say, a portfolio gap. Well, a good question would be then is, do our customers think of us for that feature? Is it relevant for us? Is this gap a fad? Just going to come and go? Can other categories give us insight into this feature that we can apply? All that would be awesome if it just proactively served. Another system, could say your brands are less loyal, right? And you're seeing a lot of switching going on. Well, is that switching due to quality and difference? They just not really care as much anymore in terms of quality. Is there a perceived feature parity? These two things are the same. Doesn't really matter what I pick. Or is there emerging need that's being talked about that you're not really properly addressing? And then lastly, a topic that's coming up more and more lately is your customer care system saying your returns are steadily increasing. Well, is that due to poor quality? Is that due to maybe some exaggerated claims? Is that just simply due with poor product descriptions It's just not matching what your product does. So lots of great things to think about. And there's obviously thousands more ideas here in terms of how you could surface the why to the what. And then lastly, I do envision at some point, not too distant future, where when you integrate, what people say with what they do, I think voice of customer data can actually predict future changes and future assortment gaps and future loyalty loss. It can actually predict it is unmitigated and allow you to actually be ahead of the situation. I'm excited to see the why behind the body get its proper due in all of the decision making. It's been a passion of mine. Omer, I know you share the same excitement, and I'm excited to see what Revuze has coming on this job. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dan, for that opening, and think that now we can take this to the second part of the webinar, where we'll talk about the Revuze solution and the transformation that we bring to brands and how we help them solve many of these issues and things that Dan just addressed. Before we talk about Revuze, I just want to illustrate, our vision and what we've been working on for a very long time and what we're looking at, and sort of take everything that Dan's just put out and translate it into a very, very simple problem statement, where we see companies continuously, from every type of industry and category, struggling to answer a critical but yet a simple question, what do our customers really think, and how can we take that insight and transform it and drive our business based on that understanding. And it's a simple question, but it's very, very hard to do. And we're all about solving that simple question. And we know that there are many solutions today which are trying to solve that sort of fragmented, siloed views and voice of the customer coming in from different channels and how to transform it. But those solutions are either static, and it's hard to really understand, okay, so what do I do with this metric? How do I actually take it to the next level and change my business or change my product in order to accommodate this? They could be limited. They might not be granular enough, and they might not be pointing out specific product. A lot of social tools are stopping at the brand level and unable to get down to the actual SKU and product level. Or they could be fragmented and not give you a full picture, understand your customer journey, because they're either focused on one niche, they're only focused on surveys or panels or communities that are not giving you the full scope of all of your customers or experiencing your products. And as a result, the data is actually there. So many of the businesses, they either have the data in-house available or it's very, very accessible. They just don't know how to transform it and how to use it. So the data is there. It's not a question of can we get the data. That might have been an issue several years ago, but that as a whole has changed, and the data is there. Just about making it and locating the gold within the data. So this is exactly what we do at Revuze. We've been helping brands for many years now gain that clarity, helping them drive innovation and outpace the competition. We took a lot of commonalities that we saw in market research, and we've automated them and we've streamlined them, and we allow organizations to look at their entire voice of the customer data and use that data to drive innovation and to enhance their marketing communication messaging. We're working in over 2,000 CPG categories. We're covering over 600 different channels, not only ratings and reviews, social, POS data. You'll see the slide in a few minutes outlining all the different data sources that we connect to and can bring in. And you can see also the list of brands that we're already serving today in various categories in different industries, all helping them transform this voice of the customer data into actionable insights and recommendations. A little bit about our platform, just to give you some understanding about our tech stack and how we get things done. So we have a very robust data collection layer, where we basically hook into and integrate with multiple data sources and bring in all the information about your products, what's happening on social, the entire category, your competition, anything that we believe can help us understand your voice of the customer, we'll be able to bring into our platform. And then we have this layer that's completely proprietary to us, where all the magic happens, This is where we're able to organize the data, cleanse it, do all of the analysis and the processing using advanced Gen AI engines to understand what people are talking about, what is the sentiment, how can we translate that into recommendations, how can we summarize it and aggregate it into meaningful ways that we can later take into specific actions. And from there, we have an entire suite of applications that is available to view the data and take action and read and see all the information. In this presentation, we're going to give you a sneak peek of our product hub, which is aimed to solve exactly the problems that Dan previously spoke about. As product leaders, how do I make sense of all this information? How do I understand what should be my call to action and my next step as I'm building out my portfolio, as I'm thinking about my next product line, as I'm thinking about which channels should I focus on, as I'm thinking about my positioning, the communication, how should I go ahead and bring this product into market? And really what we've tried to do is we've tried to look at the entire product lifecycle from research to ideation to concept testing to launch and see how we can basically cater all of these different phases within the product lifecycle and use our deep research engines, which help us understand things like purchase motivations and met and unmet needs and usage purpose analysis and identify white space opportunities and identify trends that are happening in the market and really use all that deep research. And using that deep research, we're able to now create different use cases that will help product leaders in their research phase, in their ideation phase, in their concept testing, and in their launch phase. Things like understanding market trends, things like understanding your health scoring, things like looking at competition and seeing what they're doing, tools like SWOT analysis, understanding purchase motivation, innovation, whether you want to innovate using a bottom-up or a top-down methods, which I'll show you in a moment in the sneak peek, from identifying product defects, understanding return rates, even initiating surveys through our platform, which can help you sort of validate concepts and test the water before launching a new product. So all of that is baked into the platform using our data and using our different technologies. So welcome to the recommendation area. It's no longer about insights. It's no longer about analytics. It's about recommendation. It's about us helping brands understand what they need to do, when they need to do it, for which product it should be applied. So welcome to the recommendation area. So I'm going to give you now a sneak peek into our product hub. I'll go over a few of the use cases which we can help you all. And of course, later on, I'll go back to the presentation. And as Dana promised in the beginning, we have a bit of a surprise for all of you that have attended this webinar today. So welcome to the Revuze product hub. So right now, this product hub is based on data from the running shoes department. Like I said previously, we cover over 2,000 different categories and subcategories within the CPG world. So we can easily feed in here data from multiple different categories and allow you to look at the products that are important to you. Imagine me being a product leader in one of the top brands in the running shoes category. It's a Monday morning. Maybe I've caught up on a few important emails and I open up the Revuze product hub platform. Immediately, I can see some interesting stats about reviews that have come in to the platform, different topics that are currently rising in discussion or decreasing in discussion. I can even see what's happening in social. What are people looking at in terms of videos within the category? What are they mentioning about my brand or about competition? And I can scroll down, and this is where the platform really helps understand what do I need to do right now. And you can see this here, take action place. It's already giving me information about things that have happened over the last couple of days that I need to pay attention to and take action about. The system is already giving me information about reviews that are mentioning returns and refunds. So Dan previously spoke about return rates. Return rates are becoming a very, very big challenge for many of the brands that are selling online. The numbers are, from what I've read, around 17% of all products that are shopped online are returned. And obviously, that's a big concern of mine and something that I want to try and understand why it's happening and obviously reduce. I can also see reviews that are coming in that have mentioned product defects. I can look at one-star reviews, which are always alarming. And I can even see if I have any products that are currently in decline. So it's not just about seeing the number, it's also about understanding what are people complaining about, why are they returning. So I click of a button, and now the system will actually help me understand why are people returning my different products. So I can see that there are complaints about size issues. I can see that there are complaints about comfort and about quality. I can even see the actual reviews and from which products they came from. So I can see that specifically now in this example, 3 of these products have received these reviews about returns. And for me now, as a product leader, I want to dive into one of these products and take a closer look to really understand what's happening. So another click of the button, and now I'm in this product 360 view of this specific SKU, trying to understand what's going on. And as you can see, I can immediately see all of the different reviews that people have come in, all in a very, very nice summary. I can see what people are talking in a positive mention or a negative mention about this specific shoe. I can even deep dive and see what they're saying about comfort. See actual examples of snippets from people talking online about the comfort of this specific shoe. I can see the star rating breakdown for this specific shoe, and looking at the 5-star, 4-star, and all the different distribution of stars. What are the topics of discussion when people are talking about this shoe? I can even see a SWOT analysis and understand how this shoe is performing in the market. What are the strengths, the threats, and the weaknesses of this specific SKU? What's driving 5-star and 1-star rating? And if I want to actually go down to the review level and read the actual content, I have all the information available here. And from here, I can go ahead and read actual reviews and see what people are saying about this product. But it's not just about analyzing my product, understanding why are people returning it, and find a potential areas for improvement. It's also about looking at the entire market and the competition. So from the competitor 360 view, this is where I can look at actual competition and understand what's going on in the competition. So right now I'm looking at one of the other brands in the market, trying to understand how it's positioned, what are consumers thinking about this brand, why are people returning their products? So it's not just about my products. Let's also understand why people returning the competition products. Let's look at their positioning. What are they best at? What are they worst at? Let's look at new launches that are currently being introduced into the market. Let's make sure that I'm not being blindsided by new products that are bringing in innovation. And I want to be on top of these new products as they emerge in the market. Let's look at their hero products, which are currently gaining waves and leading the market. And let's also look at brands that I might not be currently following and may not be attentive to their current activity, but the system is giving me the recommendation and the consideration to follow them based on their activity and based on their use. Now, as a product leader going through this platform, there's a whole lot of information that I want to take in. And sometimes, some of these widgets might prompt some ideation and some innovation for me to think about it at a later stage. So how do we facilitate this whole innovation process? So I'm looking here at this shoe here, and I see it's a new product, and I'm thinking, well, this is something that I want to keep an eye on. There's some interesting technology here. There's an interesting design here. There's something that I want to think about when I'm thinking about my next product line. Let's add this specific shoe to one of my innovation boards. And once I click that, I can go ahead and either create a new innovation board or add it into an existing one. Right now, I want to add this to an innovation board, which I already have active. It's already got additional information inside that. And once I click on add to board, that's already set for me in a different board where I can go to later on and look at all of the information I have in that innovation board. So when going to the innovation board, now I can see all of the different ideas that I have currently that are running. I can deep dive into some of these ideas, take a look at them. Maybe there's some information missing. Maybe it's already mature enough for me as a product leader to transform to an innovation kit, which I can take internally in the organization, start running and start driving. Or I can even also have the system create an idea for me automatically. So let's look at how that process looks like. So clicking on the add idea will prompt me a message and will ask me to look for a specific product that I want to innovate on. So I want to take one of my products. I've selected it. And now the system will ask me, how do I want to run this innovation? So the system will offer me different ways to get inspired by innovation. Specifically right now, I want to focus on consumers' wish list. So consumers' wish list is our ability to identify where people are talking in social, online, wherever, through surveys, and they have these complaints, or they have these sort of wish list items that they mention. I wish this shoe came in red, or I wish the laces were longer, or I wish it was more comfortable, or whatever. And we aggregate all of this information. And using this information, we can start generating different ideas. So clicking on next, the system will now crunch the numbers behind the scenes and will give me some initial thoughts and ideas. So the first one you can see here is an adaptive chameleon knit technology. It's actually inspired by other products. So this is where the system is looking at external products, not only in this category, trying to get inspiration about innovation and new technologies that can be used. I see here some other ideas about gel cushioning. I even have some ideas about waterproof and self-spinning surface. But this idea here about the chameleon knit technology has really caught my eye, and I want to take it one next step and generate an entire kit around this idea. So when I click generate kit, the system will automatically create a full idea kit for this specific innovation idea. It will give me the overview. What is this entire kit about? What does it mean? The chameleon knit technology. Basically, we're talking about a shoe that you can control its various different colors through an application in mobile, so that if you're wearing red, make it red. If you're wearing yellow, make it yellow, and make it a part of your look. I can see also the key benefits and features of this new idea. It's helping me, we have the mobile app control, and we have the temperature and light sensitivity, eco-friendly and sustainable. I can understand who are we going to target with this new product. It's urban runners and athleisure enthusiasts, it's tech-savvy consumers, temperature and light sensitivity. So I can understand about who are we targeting with this new product. I can even understand the inspiration. Okay, so where did I get all this inspiration from? It came from smartphone cases. It came from actually the mobile, the automotive industry, where we have this color-changing car paint, which is really cool. And I can even see and understand which products inspired me to come up with this idea. So BMW actually released a car line which had paint which could change colors in mid-stride. So the ideas came from the automotive industry. And I can even understand and see design suggestions for how this would look like. So I can talk with my engineering team. I can talk with other teams within the organization and take this entire kit to them and show them how to go ahead and make this idea into an actual reality. I can quickly create a survey. So if I want to ask consumers about this new concept, will it be really something that they're willing to pay for and buy? So I can understand from a specific target audience their willingness to buy this. And I can obviously export this to a full PPT that I can take internally in the organization and pitch this idea with other people in the organization. So this was just a sneak peek of the product app. We obviously have a lot more use cases that you can see here on the left side that are available as part of this product app. And as I promised, for all of you that are attending this webinar, what we've done is we've taken this product app and we've actually gone into different categories and different products, and we've extracted some innovation ideas from the platform itself, and we're going to give this to you as a giveaway at the end of this webinar. So what you'll get is you'll basically get a report that's covering various different categories and various different products, and what you'll see ideas for innovation, ideas for areas improvement for various type of products. And that's all courtesy of the Revuze team to all of you that are attending this webinar. Donna, back to you.
Thank you. I hear an echo. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so that wraps up our main presentation. Now we'd love to hear from you guys. So feel free to ask any question. Go ahead and type it into the chat box, and we'll try to get to as many questions as possible. So let's give everybody a minute or two, and then we'll dive in. I do see a few questions come in. So we have a question on how do you weed out the bias and fraud that we know is prevalent in VoC product review data? Omer, Dan, do one of you want to take that?
Yeah, I'll take that one. It's a great question. Comes up a lot in many of the discussions with customers. So obviously, with the world of AI, many of the retailers are struggling with different bots and other technologies that are trying to create fraudulent reviews. So we have a few ways that we deal with that. The first one is we rely heavily on verified purchase reviews. So many of the retailers have already put in some guardrails and are verifying the reviews on their end. And we definitely use that flag in order to make sure that we are basing the significant part of our analysis on verified purchases. We've also added in some additional guardrails to identify different patterns of text that we already see coming in from fake and from bot-generated reviews in order to weed them out and to identify them on our platform. Obviously, this is an ongoing race as the technology becomes harder to identify. But we're using also our own technological advancements and obviously Gen AI and other means in order to weed that out at a very, very high success rate.
Thank you, Omer. Let's see another question here. Can reviews integrate with PLM and or PMI systems?
So yes, we definitely integrate with multiple systems, and we've definitely already done some integrations with PIM and PLM systems, to name a few, such as Salsify, Oracle, SAP, InRiver, in order to facilitate some of these use cases and also export some of our data into these PLM and PIM systems.
Thank you, Omer. I think I see another question come through. Does reviews cover all categories as well as global markets?
Great question. So as we saw in the slide, we're currently covering over 2,000 categories within the CPG and other industries. So ranging from fashion to electronics, food and beverage, obviously anything related to home appliances and related to beauty and personal care. So we cover all of those, all that range of categories. And today our technology is agnostic, so we can also look at reviews covering restaurants or hospitality or even other verticals that are out there. And regarding languages, so we have full support for all different languages. We cover sources globally, ranging from EMEA, APAC, in various languages, including the Chinese market.
Thank you, Omer. See another question. Where does reviews fit within a company's innovation stack? And how can data-driven insights take product development to the next level?
So I think that's a very interesting question. And obviously, it varies by organization. So I think today, we're really trying to be the one-stop shop that brings in the entire data. Obviously, there is a lot of first-party data that organizations will always use that can today be imported into our system. But we're also mainly worried about all of the external data that's not available in the organization and how we bring everything in. So we try to be a one-stop shop and facilitate the entire innovation process within our platform. We realize that we will not overtake the entire desktop of product leaders, but we definitely hope to be a main tool that they use on their day-to-day basis. The data is dynamic; it's always changing and coming in and feeding. So this is not a tool that we believe you should come in on a quarterly basis, but more of on a weekly or daily basis to understand what's happening. The amount of data coming in every day is so vast that if things change and are getting volatile, especially in some categories. So we definitely see our tool being a mainstay in that stack and very, very significant part in bringing in the data and also being the place where the leaders will consume the information and consume the recommendations in their day-to-day processes and jobs.
Yeah, and let me add one more thing to that. I think a lot of the product managers rely heavily on what features or attributes are on your product. So if you take, a can of soda, the flavor, the size, the packaging, the health, the sugar content, calorie content, those are all attributes tied to a product or a SKU or UPC. Those same attributes that people are using to look at sales through attributes, reviews and the advances in AI are allowing those exact same attributes as you saw with Omar's presentation in the voice of customer data. So unlike ever before, you can actually tie people's choices about flavors and size and calories and health from literal purchasing connected to actual feedback at a level that is more aligned to how people think about why they buy what they buy, right? And both what they do as what they buy. So I think that's going to just completely change how people think about how they innovate and how they measure and keep an eye on what the needs of the marketplace are.
Oh, thank you, guys. Thank you, Omer. Thank you, Dan. So yeah, that brings us to the end of the webinar. So thank you to the speakers. Thank you for all who have joined today. Thank you for the great insights. We hope you found the discussion valuable. If you have any additional questions or would like to explore some of these insights further, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're happy to answer any of those questions. Also, be sure to keep an eye out for upcoming webinars and events. We'd love to have you join us again. So thanks once again for taking part in this webinar. We hope to see you in the future. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks.
Thank you.